I mean, I don't know if we have. Do we have kick on our agenda?
No.
Just really quick.
No, why would we have kick on our agenda?
Well, first of all, we'll go
Joe
to kick for a
freaking
second.
spins out on lap 5, and Bottas is nowhere to be found. Bottas is probably in the beach with Hamilton taking pictures for his calendar.
You know what? You're not.
But go ahead and
wrong.
mention Kick. What do you want to say about Kick Sauber? Potentially being his last F1 race, you think?
I mean, it kind of seems that way. Like, no other teams besides saying goodbye have said, like, they're looking at picking him up. 8 points.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah. So next weekend, very possible Ferrari's in second. And then after that, currently 55 points away from McLaren. Very doable points for 2 cars to make. Checo just gets booted from Red Bull. And then Yuki or Liam takes a spot, and then Isaac gets put into the Racing Bull seat. It's incredibly tough. And so, yeah, and I think so. It's Lando. It's Lando's at fault here. He finished that maneuver. The outcome of that, though, McLaren should have told him to be safer and to pull back.
And just give it back,
but they
or
were
give the spot back to him.
Strict. Yeah, they were incredibly strict. So at the end of the day, it's not Lando's fault that happened. It's McLaren's fault. Russell making it to P6
is insane.
Starting from the pit lane.
That's a tough
that was an
P6.
amazing drive from Russell.
Yeah.
He didn't even get considered for driver of the day, which is crazy to me.
Laced up.
Let's go.
It's time for Banter with the boys.
Yo, welcome back to Banter with the Boys, Fast Laps, where we're going to recap the United States GP. Let me calm down here. It's been so long. I'm just so excited.
It's been a minute.
And preview the Mexican GP. But first off, Joe, what's going on? I feel like it's been a hot minute. We missed everybody last week, but here we are.
Yeah, it's been 4 weeks. I've missed this. I almost feel like coming into today, I'm like, I don't even know if I know how to do this anymore, right? Like, I just haven't talked in 4 weeks.
Did you bring your tinfoil hat?
No, not yet. I think I had an idea for the tinfoil hat. I'm not going to spoil anything, but I'll have one soon. I'll have one soonish. We'll say. But yeah, I'm really happy to be back.
So by 2025.
Yeah, maybe. Happy to be back. Sad we're missing some of the boys, but really excited to talk some more F1.
For sure. Cole's out for a few weeks with something going on. With his job, I believe it is. Yep. So good for him. Opportunity there. But, yeah, just us. And, of course, we got Kev behind the camera, who you cannot see, doing everything
Kev waved
for us.
behind the camera.
Kev's waving right now. Just trust us. You can trust us. It's all right. But, yeah, let's head right into our first recap here, which actually, really quick, is about Singapore.
Yeah.
Which we would have recapped last week, but... not a ton to talk about other than, I mean, the glaring thing being Danny Ric.
Yeah.
Potentially being his last F1 race, you think?
I mean, it kind of seems that way. Like, no other teams besides saying goodbye have said, like, they're looking at picking him up. I've heard rumors about him racing next to Logan Sargent, maybe, or going into some other motorsports. Yeah, I think he's probably unfortunately done with F1.
Sure.
It's too bad we didn't meet last week because this was such a huge thing. Like, edging into the weekend a little bit, it was like no clue. Like before that weekend,
there's inklings, right?
They would have. I mean, inklings throughout the whole season.
Rumors.
I think before that weekend, I would not have guessed. At the end of this weekend, he's gone. But like starting, like I think first practice session, the commentators were talking about it. They're talking about there's Danny Ric, possibly his last weekend in F1, and I'm like,
it was already pre-planned.
Yeah, they're like saying this guy's eulogy, and he's still in the car, like it's crazy. And then by the end of it, so I feel like I definitely wanted to touch on that at least a little bit because it was such a huge thing to happen. Him coming in halfway the season last year, now being kicked out halfway this year. It's hey, at least he got a full year, kind of. Right?
After what we thought, though, he was being given that seat for the rest of the season, almost no matter what, is what it sounded like.
Yeah.
Was that right before they went to that summer break? I think remember that scene
that
I
was
brought
Checo,
up?
Right?
No, that was Danny Ric, where he was all happy or something. You know what I mean? He was talking with Horner and whoever it is
Marco?
for Racing Bulls.
Oh, yeah, sure.
But Marco probably was there too. But then you saw Danny Ric all happy and whatnot.
Yeah,
so we thought it was
right.
probably he was given the seat for the rest of the season. And I thought it came out confirming that, but maybe not. But
no, I do remember what you're talking about. Yeah.
But either way, no Danny Ric.
How do you feel about it? Do you think that's fair?
I mean, he hasn't really as much as I want to like back him up because he's probably the reason why F1 is starting to grow, at least in this country, because he has a likable personality for some of these Americans around here. Yeah. But
I mean, honestly, yeah, and maybe fair is the wrong choice of word. Do you think it, compared to Yuki, do you think it's right timing and the right choice? Like, up until maybe a couple races, I feel like they were relatively similar.
Yeah, I mean, Yuki started out the season hot, if I remember right. Yeah, killing it, but then definitely kind of lowered and then plateaued like right there. So, yeah, I'd say they were kind of hand in hand as far as that goes. So I guess fair is a good question. Is it fair?
Yeah, maybe he was just set a really high expectation point and he just didn't hit it. Like maybe he going into the season, he's like, you have to be driving at Red Bull level, not Racing Bull level, Red Bull level. And if you're not hitting that, we're getting you out of Racing Bull and putting Liam in because we know he's good in that car. Right. So I think maybe it was just a expectations were set differently between the two.
And I mean, we'll get to it later, but we saw Liam go out and get a P9 this weekend.
Yeah, Liam. Oh, yeah.
So does Danny Ric get P9 this weekend? I don't know. Yeah. I mean, again, hard to say. We can make these hypotheticals all day, go after it all day. Should Danny Ric be still racing? You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. There was a rumor, though, that we touched on that actually a few weeks ago, that he could go to NASCAR, too.
Right, yeah,
so
I did
it would be interesting if he crossed the pond and decided to still race, but just makes our racing leagues look like retirement options, though. But that's what happens when you're leaving the best, the best racing around the world. But,
in our opinion, I guess. I'm sure NASCAR fans would probably disagree, but
I am a NASCAR fan. I do not. But anyway, Lando.
I appreciate that.
Yeah. Danny Ric also took the fastest lap of the race, which is pretty cool to see. Driver of the day, again, kind of just seeming planned.
Yeah,
at that
it was
point,
like
that
I felt like
this is your swan song.
Nothing had been confirmed, and it was just like clear as day. It was the craziest thing watching that happen.
Yeah, no, for sure. And then Lando getting the dub by a 22-second margin.
Yeah.
So that was interesting, considering now what we saw this past weekend.
Yeah, I mean, just shows, cars are built for certain tracks, I guess, sometimes. So.
No, for sure. With that kind of ends our little quick Singapore touch base, as Joe put in here. And then we'll just head right to our U.S. recap. And obviously, starting the U.S. recap, Ferrari. Just running away with the thing. I did catch a little bit of quali. I did not catch the sprint, but watching quali, I didn't feel that Ferrari would be as dominant as they kind of showed throughout the race. I know didn't we see a little bit of Lando up front too for a little bit? Wasn't long if he made it that far.
During the race?
Yeah.
A little,
I thought like a little bit, but maybe that's just when Ferrari was boxing. I can't remember.
He qualified P1, so that's like the close. I mean, after turn one, it was over. He wasn't making it. Yeah, Charles. I mean, giving it the Max Verstappen treatment, racing in his own race. Truly, I think at the end of the race, he was, what was it? I think it was only I have it right in front of me. It was 8 seconds ahead. So. Not quite the margins that we saw from Lando in Singapore or Max usually, but still, he had he was not fighting anyone.
No,
really.
no, and they were both Ferraris were way more dominant than I had anticipated. Yes. I feel like when, I'm trying to remember if it was a battle between Sainz and Verstappen. I say battle, but I feel like there really wasn't a battle. I'm trying to think how early that was. I feel like it was early, but I'm still looking at it here again. But just... I felt like the Red Bull couldn't give the Ferrari anything this race at all.
Yeah.
They just had no shot.
Yeah.
So it was just kind of fun to see Ferrari kind of get back at that again. I think if we would have had a show last week, I don't think we would have been talking about Ferrari winning the thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think we would have been all over McLaren, to be honest with you.
Yep. We were talking about maybe getting in predictions halfway through the weekend, and I was like, well, I'm watching qualifying, and I I already know predictions are going to be wild because someone was knocked out in Q1, and I think it was Lewis was knocked out in Q1, and it's like, well, who could have expected that? Like, there's a solid chance I put Lewis in my podium this weekend.
Whoa.
Or for Coda because he's done well here before, right?
Yeah. Yep.
So yeah, it's definitely not something you would expect, I think, coming out of this weekend. I definitely would have thought McLaren would have been faster in general. I kind of feel a little bad for Ferrari because truly they were in a race of their own. They got the 1-2 out. They nailed that, but they weren't really covered a lot during the race because of everything else that was going on.
I mean, yeah, fair enough. Yeah, you just saw the 2 Ferrari logos up top on the leaderboard the whole race, and that was about it.
That was about it.
But there was a lot of movement throughout the race. I guess let's just lead right into Red Bull there. I don't have anything else to say about Ferrari right now, other than the fact is, I mean, I guess I'm looking at them differently heading into Mexico than I would have been. Now, I don't know. They're showing some strength the second half of the season.
All that much closer to Red Bull and constructors now. I think there's a real chance if they keep doing what they're doing that they could start fighting McLaren for the win too.
Ferrari?
Yeah.
You think so?
I mean, if they
with how inconsistent
like this, right?
Red Bull is now too.
Red Bull, I think they're going to surpass them with Checo, like no problem. It's going to be hard.
You think Ferrari's going to surpass Red Bull too?
Oh yeah. I mean, McLaren's already surpassed them, and they're
right.
The point difference between the two is
between Ferrari and Red Bull.
Yeah, it's currently it is 8 points.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah. So next weekend, very possible Ferrari's in second, and then after that, currently 55 points away from McLaren. Very doable points for 2 cars to make.
Ferrari's 50 points away from. Okay.
Yep, very doable.
I mean, if they keep showing up like this, it could get really interesting.
Yep. Yeah, truly.
But yeah, let's move right into Red Bull here. Max finishing P3, Checo finishing P7. For Checo again, disappointment. I mean, with the Mercedes struggling, and Russell having a tough race. I mean, he battled, and we'll talk about Mercedes, but he really battled, and you can't even beat George Russell this weekend. I mean, we talk about it all the time. We need to see more from Checo. It looks like he's probably got that seat now that Racing Bulls made the move. He's probably got that seat. You don't think so? You don't think Checo's got that seat locked up for the rest of the season?
Oh, season, yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, this season, we got to talk about that.
But again, 2025 is going to be. Yeah. I don't know. That'll be it. Do you think they move Liam up there? Or give it to Yuki?
I think it would be insane if they move Liam up there instead of
before Yuki. Yeah. I think Yuki's shown.
I think that would be insane, but I could see them do it. Like they just hurt their drivers. They hurt Pierre. They hurt Albon. They're just.
Would Checo then be racing in the Racing Bull, or do you think they move to put somebody else in the seat and now Checo's just kind of on the side? He's your side dish.
A Red Bull decision should be to get Isaac Hadjar, their F2 driver, in the Racing Bull seat.
Interesting.
I don't know if they will.
So have we ever seen a team downgrade, a starting driver, right? Starting driver, I don't know what else to call him. But Checo, right? Have we ever seen a team downgrade them to reserve driver in favor of like a younger driver? And that driver accepting that? How often does that happen?
I'm saying Checo just gets booted from Red Bull. And then Yuki or Liam takes a spot, and then Isaac gets put into the Racing Bull seat. I think because he has such a weird contract, they might have to put him in the Racing Bull seats anyway.
Who, Checo?
Yeah. I'm not sure.
I think so, because I feel like that'd be weird just to be, and I don't know how F1 contracts work. We got to work on that this offseason. Yeah, it's like 2 different teams.
And this actually kind of goes back into, and it actually also goes back into news. So I'll just say it now because we're talking about Red Bull.
Yeah.
Danny Ric's getting that extra point at the end of Singapore, helping Max shows that we have we have a company with 4 cars on the grid, right?
For sure.
And that's, I think, inherently a problem, probably, because, I mean, you got Lando, who has Oscar that can support him. You got Max, who has Checo, Yuki.
And there's
Liam.
And there's no reason that Yuki and Liam wouldn't support Max,
because
they're trying to get into that second seat.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that's and we'll talk about the fastest lap point later, but yeah, it's just that's also been kind of weighing on my mind a little bit. Either way, in terms of the seat that kind of gets taken,
interesting.
Yeah, I don't know, man. What were we talking about? The Red Bull seat. Who knows? Yeah, I think Yuki should get it because he's been fighting for it for so long, right? But I've been hearing a lot about Liam possibly being... I mean, if Liam, like, kills it the rest of the season, he keeps doing what he's doing, and Yuki keeps doing what he did in Coda, like, Liam gets that seat. They're just going to give it to him.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. For sure.
Like, why not?
And Yuki looked off this race for sure. Just
Yuki was
right.
not great this race, unfortunately.
So sort of a segue from Red Bull to McLaren. Let's talk about Max finishing P3. That's a disgusted face. So how do you feel about the penalty on Lando? Okay. And we can go into McLaren from there.
Yeah.
But let's talk about the penalty, which gave Max P3.
Let's talk about the penalty. Okay. I had this conversation pretty much all day with some people online as well. Just how we see the penalty and how it was given to other people, because that one corner was causing a lot of those penalties to happen.
Sure.
Correct. I think I am not mad that Max got P3 because of the penalty. I'm mad that the FAA has such a gray line for that penalty that both teams had to question whether or not it would have been a penalty, because we got Max saying he overtook me off the track, which is true.
He did.
I agree. Lando did that.
Yep.
Yes. But they were racing off the track. Max also got off the track.
There's nowhere else for Lando to go. So what does the rule say about that then?
About forcing off the track? Yeah. And they'll probably say whoever is in front at the apex has the right of way. So in the perfect world, Lando should have probably slotted behind him or stayed behind him off the track as well, or given it back to him right away. Because if Max were behind Lando going into the corner, then it would have been forcing off the track, is what my interpretation of it is. That being said, that corner is so weird. The apex is so weird, and it was happening almost every lap, I would say, where like someone was going off the track, or at least every fight that happened there, it was an off the track moment.
Here, because I have it, and you can see it from there. You guys can't see it, but you can find this. But there it is, right there.
There it is.
I mean, Max doesn't give him any room.
No room whatsoever.
There is no room.
And you can see right there, he's off the track as well. Lando's further off into the white portion of that track too.
But I think I agree with you. I think I agree with Max getting P3. I mean, I think you do have to give the penalty. I think that is something that they're going to have to address.
I'm just disappointed. I'm happy. The race was great. The fighting was amazing.
But that's tough. At the apex, it's so tough. Dead.
How
are you supposed to know that inside the car?
The apex is interesting. Yeah, it's really rough, and they were still racing off the track as well. So I don't know. So that's what McLaren is arguing as well, is that they were racing off the track. It's sad that that amazing fight had to end with one of them getting a penalty. Like, it had to be decided by the FIA.
I agree with that.
That sucks. So I think a line needs to be made. I also mentioned that maybe the track needs to be changed. It's not the track's fault. I love Coda so much, and I think I think there's some really awesome overtaking opportunities, 100%. But it also causes a lot of weird moments for overtaking. Now, another point that was made to me that I thought was really interesting is how the FAA has their rules laid out. It promotes what Max did. You keep saying
FAA.
FIA. Sorry. Yeah. I'm rambling. I'm a little emotional.
Good. No, go for it. Do it. Spew it.
So how the rules are laid out, it promotes what Max did, which is he broke really late on the inside of that corner, which made him go out, which made him push out into the
you're entering the corner with more speed.
You're entering the corner with more speed. So Lando's here.
Yep.
Max is here. This is the corner, right?
Yep.
Lando brakes, Max brakes later,
late,
right? Which means that he's taking the corner a bit harder and pushes him further to the off track, which pushes Lando as well.
So if Lando sees him braking late, you're saying Lando needs to make the decision like, he beat me to this corner. I need to back up.
He needs to make the decision to try and get alongside him to make that move and hope that what happened doesn't happen, or he needs to switch back, which is tough as well,
and cut underneath him.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
for sure.
it promotes that kind of weird kind of maneuver where you're braking late and you're also going off track. So Max still went off track too. He still did something wrong.
Oh, for sure. No, he was way off track, but like he didn't.
And I know I'm wearing the McLaren hat, and I'm going to be biased, and that's fine. I already said Lando deserved the penalty at the end of the day. Max definitely deserved P3. I'm just sad that it ended that way.
The only thing I will back up Lando on is, again, he just had absolutely nowhere to go.
He didn't. You're right.
Yeah, but he should have. And if that's the case, he does have to back off that.
He should have backed up. He should have given it back. His team and they're still incredibly strong. Like, I checked news today. All of the news is this maneuver right here.
I'm sure.
That's all it is.
But that battle leading right up to it, I mean,
yeah,
God.
it's tough.
We had a couple laps of it.
Yeah, and so his team, and I think really it's the FIA and it's also McLaren.
It's on Lando, and as much as it hurts me, but the more I keep watching it. I've watched it like 15 times here in the past 2 minutes.
Yep.
And Max does have the nose lead into the corner, technically, at the apex of the turn. Technically, Max does have that lead, but again, in the car, that's so tough.
Yeah, it's incredibly tough. And so, and I think, so it's Lando. It's, Lando's at fault here. He finished that maneuver. The outcome of that, though, McLaren should have told him to be safer and to pull back.
And just give it back,
but
or give the spot back to him.
Strict. Yeah, they were incredibly strict. So at the end of the day, it's not Lando's fault that happened. It's McLaren's fault. If we're putting blame on a team or on someone,
on McLaren's fault that the penalty ended up having to be awarded because they didn't fix it.
Yes.
Okay.
It's on McLaren. It's not on Lando. He asked. He asked right.
He did
after
ask. He did
if
ask.
He has to give the place back, and McLaren was like, "No, we believe that you did not do anything wrong. You stay."
So
where
that
you
is
are.
messed up. Then it is on the FIA too. Like you said, that it's such a gray area that teams have to question either way.
Yeah, they were.
So
like,
we need
both
to
of them,
figure that out.
Yeah, I'm just saying Red Bull's really quiet. That's all I'm saying.
Hey, Joe is available to lead the FIA. So.
Oh no! Oh God! Be the shortest stint ever. I'm good.
So let's roll right into Mercedes then. Oscar also finishing P5. Sorry, Oscar, we didn't talk about you, but this Lando incident did overshadow
P4, P5, not bad placements. For being in general, McLaren, bad weekend for them, I think.
I would agree with that.
Very weak this track, but they still finished in really good points, so I'll take it. That's fine.
Fair enough. As a McLaren fan, you'll take it.
Hey, you know what? I'm not going to complain.
Yeah. You're leading in the constructors right now. You're leading in the constructors right now. So
that's true.
That's something to be said. Are you going to party if they win constructors? Throw a McLaren party?
I'll be pretty happy. Maybe I will throw a McLaren party.
You should.
You
should.
Maybe
and then I'll come over and I'll make sure I buy a Red Bull hat before I come over or something.
Interesting.
That's an interesting move.
That's interesting.
And you're going to come to my place?
Weird.
Anyway, Mercedes. George Russell finishing P6. I'm going to go ahead and say a real tough P6. I mean, he battled to get those points. And then Hamilton, wild, just beached it.
Another Mercedes were in shambles this weekend.
Yeah, they didn't look good all weekend. You said Hamilton was out Q1.
Hamilton was out Q1 in qualifying, and then Russell crashed in Q3, and his damage was enough to start him in the pit lane. So Russell making it to P6
is insane.
Starting from the pit lane.
That's a tough
that was an
P6.
amazing drive from Russell.
Yeah.
He didn't even get considered for driver of the day, which is crazy to me, but it's fine.
Who did get driver of the day?
Charles did. It was Charles, and then Colapinto, and then I think Sainz. That were the three top.
Yeah, that's a darn shame that he didn't even get considered.
His drive was crazy good. I don't think he did anything that was mega. Oh, he was on the one stop, maybe. Maybe he was on the one stop.
Was he on the one stop?
I can't remember. Either way, he did. I can actually check really quick. There's a pit stop summary button. He was on a. Can I check if there's a pit stop? Yeah, I can.
TM. Okay.
Just singing a little bit. Just hold, please.
We're singing
music.
for Danny Ric's departure.
Kev, give me some hold music. He was on one stop. Yeah, so he was on a one stop.
Okay.
He pitted on lap 40. So he did go long. And then he finished the race, so that's kind of what gave him to him. And I think,
but I mean, he fought for it, man. I mean,
he did.
Other than Hamilton spinning out, which again out on Q1, Mercedes, like you said, as a whole was off all weekend. Where did they finish in the sprint? Did you watch the sprint?
I did watch the sprint.
Not saying that you need to memorize.
No, you're good.
Every car's position if I remember correctly, sprint, but.
And I have it here too. They finished 5th and 6th.
Okay.
If I remember correctly, I don't think Lewis did well in sprint qualifying either, but I remember, I think Russell was second. Russell got P2 in sprint quali, and so he fell back quite a bit. And then Lewis finished 1 up. So it just wasn't a good weekend for Lewis in general. But yeah, seeing both Mercedes at the bottom of the grid. And then let's just talk about Lewis's crash for a second, or his beach for a second.
Yeah.
That just wasn't Lewis driving.
No, man, it's so weird. I'm trying to find that replay of it too because
it's lap 3.
It's right away.
Incredibly early in the race. So I would imagine he was probably on hard, so maybe his tires weren't heated up very well. But no external force, right? It's just him driving, and he makes that mistake. It's not Lewis, right? It's incredibly weird.
Yeah, did he he almost looked like he tried to, well, my professional expertise here. Yeah, he went to steer and then tried to overcorrect because it just wouldn't do anything, it looked like. And then ended up in the
it was incredibly odd.
Taking out his sandals.
Yeah.
But yeah, no. But no, it sucks. I mean, it sucks to see a guy of that caliber, ending his race on lap 3 in a place where he's probably pretty popular.
Yeah,
I'd imagine.
Oh, he's incredibly
So, look for Mercedes to bounce back in Mexico. Maybe we'll get there.
I think so.
Haas, not a bad showing from Haas. I mean, K-Mag, what did he start? P9, I think, if I remember right.
Yeah.
I mean,
really good best qualifying I think all year for K-Mag.
I couldn't believe he was in Q3.
It was an
I was like, seriously. What is K-Mag doing?
Usually
here?
we may
K-Mag, Gasly. I was like, what is going on?
Yeah, Gasly.
What is going on?
I put Alpine here because I mean they did good too, but Haas, just a great weekend. It was incredibly exciting to see. Now, okay, so Magnussen did not get into the points at the end of the race.
No, but P11.
But Nico was able to get into 8th, so still got points overall. I still think very strong race in general, especially to the people that K-Mag had to fight against. I think it was a good race.
Is K-Mag doing enough to make a case hey, at least have me be a reserve driver for somewhere?
I don't think
Keep
K-Mag.
me on board.
This goes back to
But it'd have to be a bottom 3 team. I don't think it would be any top team.
Yeah,
they're gonna have some young stud.
That's what
waiting,
I'm saying. I don't know if they would have a veteran be a reserve driver. I just didn't.
Is the last seat filled at Kick Sauber?
No, not yet.
Okay, K-Mag making a case.
Man, both Haas drivers going to Kick Sauber would be hilarious.
That would be weird, actually. Yeah, I didn't think about that. Obviously, Nico.
I mean, I don't know if do we have Kick on our agenda?
No.
Just really quick.
No, why would we have Kick on our agenda?
Well, first of all, we'll go
Joe
to Kick for a second.
Spins out on lap 5, and Bottas is nowhere to be found. Bottas is probably in the beach with Hamilton taking pictures for his calendar.
You're not.
But go ahead
wrong.
and mention Kick. What do you want to say about Kick Sauber?
Well, no, I don't want to say anything.
I bet. Good.
I want to finish on Haas first.
Fine. Yes. We do have a couple Haas fans out there that listen to us, actually.
I mean, someone I know, it's their favorite team, so they were rooting for.
At least they're not a bandwagon fan. We know that. Haas, you're Haas.
Oh, fan. Yeah, that would be.
They're not hopping on them when they're at the top.
No, yeah, I think I mean, Gunther does a lot, right?
Yeah,
Gunther did a lot for the team.
Absolutely, Gunther and DTR or
yes.
DTS.
Yeah, DTS really helped that team grow a lot, I think. So I'm hopeful, and Haas brought upgrades this weekend, so it was good to see that those upgrades worked a bit. I'm hopeful that they can keep being a bottom of the top field team or midfield, top of the midfield team. Rather.
Top of the midfield.
So, yeah.
Where does your midfield start? Is it, so for me again, it's you got your major 4, right? Red Bull, Ferrari, McLaren, Merc, and then I low key have Aston Martin kind of in their own thing by themselves.
Yeah,
I don't really know what they're doing. They're not good enough to be in that tier, but they're better than the rest. So kind of right. So 2025 could be interesting. Mm-hmm. So there's them, right? And then you kind of got the Racing Bulls and Haas. I honestly this season group in with the Racing Bulls.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And who else am I thinking of? Alpine as of late. Williams as of late too has been looking great. So
yep.
Yeah.
I think,
interesting. I think Haas can compete with the best of the rest title.
To be more specific, they should be fighting for points way more. 8 through 10 is where they should be.
Why are there not just other people getting in the way?
I mean,
or is
like
it
we
strategy
said, Williams is doing really well.
Right.
Racing Bull's been doing well sometimes. Alpine is typically not doing well, although they did okay. Kick is never going to be doing okay, and Aston Martin is just all over.
Calm down. Are you hopping on? Aren't you hopping on the Audi train in 2026?
They're not Audi yet.
Oh, okay. So until 2026, they're horrible.
I will 100% be hopping on the Audi train. Okay, talking about Kick really quick.
Yeah.
I want
to
talk about the Kick seat.
Go for it. Yeah.
Because that's, I think, the last seat that needs to be filled currently.
I think so. That sounds right.
Well, actually, Racing Bulls still need to be filled too. I don't think they have a seat for 2025 Racing Bulls yet. I don't think they've confirmed
because
Liam
Ricardo was still under contract, or no, he wasn't.
I don't think he was
last year anyway.
So and Liam has. I don't.
It's probably going to be. It's going to be Liam.
I mean, oh yeah, definitely. I only think they haven't confirmed him yet because they're waiting to see if they make him to push him up. So Talking about kick though.
Do it at Abu Dhabi. Screw it.
Oh man,
wouldn't that be fun? Just like, we're not going to win the constructors, so
head up there,
why don't you just take a ride and
give us a show?
Checo, why don't you take a break and then put Isaac in the Racing Bull for the last race of the season? That's a lot of craziness.
Yeah,
and
that would
doubtful.
Be so dope.
But anyway,
super doubtful.
Kick. We keep talking about it.
I really, really want Franco to have a seat next year. I think he deserves it. I want him to be in the kick seat. It's not the best seat in the world.
No, we know that.
It's a seat. He's not going to be in the Williams next year, right?
And it's not going to be Zhou or Bottas.
I'm telling you, man. Convinced. And I guess I could talk about him when we get to Williams, but we could just talk about Williams now a little bit.
Yeah, do it. Yep.
Franco is killing it. Like, he is...
Is that my boy Colapinto?
Yeah, Colapinto. Oh. Yeah, I see. He's just... his name right. He has the aggressiveness and just... He's aggressive, but he keeps it on the track. He does not like crash often, but he's incredibly aggressive with everyone that he races.
So how does that work then? Is he underneath like some sort of like minor contract with Williams then?
He's a Williams,
or is it just for Academy driver?
He's a Williams Academy, I think.
Sure. So, but if Kick's gonna offer him a full-time ride, they can like do that without any.
The problem is that I don't know if. I want to say I don't know if the one part is like I don't know if Williams would give him up after.
That's what I mean. That's what I mean. So,
but I also saw I thought I saw a article about Vowles talking to Kick for Franco or something like
Interesting.
that.
I mean, it's kind of a win-win, for both.
Yeah,
truly.
Definitely.
I mean, you're getting him more experience if he's still the plan at Williams, but at the moment at Williams, you have a pretty good looking lineup next season. Unless Sainz needs his pancreas out again. Or whatever it was. You know what I mean? You're not then Colapinto's not going to see the track next year at all.
Yeah, he's going to become a lead reserve role, unfortunately. Yeah, and I think he's going to have less opportunity in that spot too, because like Williams, you think about Williams and Red Bull. I mean, come on, Red Bull has 4 seats and Williams has 2. Right. It's just, I feel like your chances are so low there. Plus, you have 2 drivers who have stated that they're there for the long haul at Williams. He's just not going to get a shot to race again.
It's going to be weird. I should jump on Williams bandwagon.
Yeah, and also so many people have like contracts that are like upgraded 2025 onwards. So he's just not going to get a seat if he doesn't get one.
So this might be his only chance to get in potentially.
For a while. And he is driving so well. I saw him, he had a battle between K-Mag. And we already talked about K-Mag going like hard and just being crazy on the track, right?
Yeah.
He was matching his energy. He was like going hard. It was amazing.
I love seeing it. It was a pretty good.
I'm such a fan.
Race all the way down.
Yeah, I'm such a fan of our rookies, dude. They're so fun. It's so much fun to watch.
100%. With that, just real quick, Alpine also had a pretty strong showing this weekend.
Yeah.
Do you still have the finish of the final grid up? Where did Gasly end up finishing?
Gasly ended up finishing in 12th.
Oh, okay.
I thought he finished in points, but I guess not.
No, who was finished P10 then?
P10 was Colapinto.
Oh, Colapinto. Okay, yeah. Okay.
P9 and P10. We haven't talked about racing.
Gosh, and the racing between like 8 and 13 was insane then.
Yeah.
Like pretty much the whole race.
Yeah, there was a point I think like 10 laps in or something, there was just a single like huge DRS line. Everyone was following each other. So yeah, there was some good racing all throughout the field for pretty much the entire race. I mean, I don't know where that pace came from. Let's race aside. Gasly's qualifying was crazy good. He got into Q3, like incredible.
And I don't know how many times he's hit Q3 this year. That's got to be potentially the first.
Probably the first, I think. Yeah. I would say probably the first. I don't know. Be. Alpine just has been so they've been so off, and all of a sudden.
But they're trying to preach that they got all these changes coming in the next year or two. That they're preparing for 2026 and they're going to be competitive and all this.
Yeah, it's probably that We Have McLaren at Home livery they had on this weekend.
The what?
The We Have McLaren at Home livery.
Actually, I loved it. I thought it looked good.
It looked like a McLaren, but
I know.
I will say,
threw me off. I had to keep doing double takes.
Yeah, looking at the front, it did look really good because it had like some like beachy vibe coming to it, but from the back, it just looked like a McLaren.
I think McLaren had the best livery. I liked the chrome through the middle.
I love when they bring out the chrome.
Come on, I mean I don't know. I loved it, but anyway, with that.
Racing Bulls.
Is there anything? Really oh yeah, did we not touch on Racing Bulls? We kind of talked about Liam and Yuki a little bit.
We'll just say Liam, great job, first race back Yeah, first race back.
Yeah, because he didn't race in Singapore. Yeah,
killed
that was
it.
Rick.
Just did amazing. Did so well.
Yep. If he does it again and again, and if he can consistently get in points the rest of the season, he does make that decision difficult.
Yeah.
As to who starts in that second Red Bull seat next year.
As he should, truly. Yeah. I think Liam has. I mean, everyone's been saying it since we last saw him last year.
And we're not forgetting about Yuki. We know what Yuki was doing earlier in the season. We know what he's capable of.
He was consistently in the
points
too.
But he's dropped.
Liam's not going to make it easy on him, you know?
No.
Yeah. But it should be a hard decision. I'm hoping it's a hard decision because I think Liam does truly deserve. He at least deserves to stay in the seat. I think bare minimum he should get that.
The Racing Bull seat.
Unless he just tanks it. There's also a chance he tanks it and then they just get Isaac, right? I mean,
which is a complete possibility.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to tank it though. I think he's shown a lot of growth in the time he hasn't been racing. He looked really good out there. So
I mean, he's learning and watching. He was the reserve driver for Red Bull, right?
Yeah.
For a hot minute. I mean, he's learning from one of the best drivers to do it, whether directly or indirectly. You're still watching the best driver do it and watching what he does and to prepare, whether that's playing esports until 2 a.m., whatever. But, I'm just saying, I don't know. I just feel like he's been learning and watching, taking his notes for a long time, and he's not going to let this opportunity pass this time.
Good. Yeah.
But, with that, Kev, let's head right into our news. And the first item of business in news is the fact that they're taking away the fastest lap point next season. Why?
That's exact same thing I said when I heard.
And I was trying to go for it. Sorry.
No, please.
No, I was trying to find people's opinions on this, right? All over Facebook, reading through comments, and everybody's all over the freaking place. Some are just like, I think it's BS that some team can just put brand new tires on the second to last lap and go out there and try to get the fastest lap. Why? Like, to me, that means at least there's something to watch the last 2 laps. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I think that was, I don't know. I hate it. I think it's a great opportunity to get one more point, but that's just me. I think it's dumb that they're getting rid of it.
No, I agree. I think I'm also of the mind of this is not. I'm more of the mind of this is not.
There's still something to race for it then.
Yeah, there's something to race for. This is not like. So I have an idea of why they're getting rid of it, and I think it's because of Daniel Ricciardo and
taking
it from someone. And I think that if that is truly the reason why, I'm thinking. You're looking at the issue the wrong way. Do not take the point away. Maybe fix the issue that we have a single company or a single team, even with 4 cars. Fix that issue first. Because we saw this. I think, didn't Ocon get fastest lap and he was in 19th or something in Coda?
Yes.
I think he got fastest lap, right? Yeah, and he was way down.
That sounds right.
I don't know why he did that. That was weird, but I mean, he got it. So he negated points away from someone else. Don't really understand it, but he did it. That's fine. It's whatever.
But is that like viewed as dirty then now? Or
I don't know.
I don't think so.
I guess I don't understand what his, and hey, maybe it wasn't, he went out on reds to, went out on softs to get the extra point. Maybe he just needed to change the softs because his tires are bad or something. Who knows?
I don't know. You're 19th putting softs on. You're probably trying to get.
I didn't follow. He ended 18th. Yeah, I didn't follow what he was doing.
And he did for sure get fastest lap. Potentially.
Let me check really quick.
But
yes, he did get the fastest lap on lap 53.
That doesn't really bother me that much.
No, it doesn't bother me. So if that is the reason though that they're trying to limit teams helping each other like that, then they need to be focusing on a different area to fix that issue in, like having 2 Red Bull teams. But if that's not the issue, which is very possible, I don't get it. I don't know why you would get rid of the fastest. It's
got to be that issue though.
You're probably right. I'm thinking, right?
You're probably right.
I mean, what other reason would be the issue? It promotes, I think, good racing,
good competition, the entire race. You're still
really
working
cool
to get that extra point no matter where you're at.
It's really cool seeing the driver that's in first or second that's been driving on these tires for a really long time get the fastest lap of the entire race on incredibly old tires.
Yeah,
I think it's just like, wow, they have incredible pace if they're able to do that, right? Like that's really cool.
For sure. So okay, so in that example then, you got a driver on incredibly old tires that gets the fastest lap. Do you now have a problem then with a 19th driver getting fresh tires and now beating that fastest lap? Does that now raise a red flag or piss
because
you
it's
off?
like, if it's part of their strategy, at least it's a strategy that they're having, I guess.
They just got a point,
right?
They weren't going to get points and being in the top 10, so now they get one for fastest lap. They're still just trying to compete. You know what I mean?
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, and if it's weird if you're out of top 10 and you do it, like, I think it's a little. It just gets a little morally gray when you're doing it to like stop points from a team that has nothing to do with you, right? Or should have nothing to do with you.
Is it though?
I mean, yeah,
that's morally.
The teams should be fighting each other, right? They shouldn't be helping each other by taking points away from someone or the other. I can't remember who Franco had. Oh, you know what? I think I know why that happened in this last race, and I think it's a good way to do it. If teams are taking away points from teams that are doing well, I think that's fine. I just don't think they should be doing it if they're not competing with them. I think that's where it gets a little morally weird, right? So Franco had the fastest lap, and Ocon took it. Okay. They're a little bit closer. They're not that close, but they're a little bit closer in the constructors battle. So it makes sense not wanting him to get the extra point. That's kind of that's how I reason with it. That's how I kind of see it. That's fine because they're doing it for themselves. They're doing it to defend themselves.
But if they take away from like McLaren, that'd be a different issue.
It'd just be weird, you know.
Okay, fair enough.
It's just
I see your
don't
thought.
Understand why you're going to the effort of doing that. You know, it doesn't make sense.
You
to
want
me.
A point, man. You want maybe.
But they don't get a point because he did
right.
it. Yeah, he doesn't get a point.
You have to be
in 10th or above. Yeah,
that's right. That's the part I forgot during this whole segment. Awesome. Yep. Awesome.
Yeah. So now
that takes away all my points. Yeah. No. Now I can see.
Now, if anyone could get the point, then it's like, it's chaos. I think a little bit, but I think that'd still be a fun little.
That's my vote. Open it up for everybody.
Because then you'd get like the bottom 10 or the bottom.
There's movement.
The bottom 13. They're all pitting for reds.
Now.
They're all pitting for softs, and they're just taking a quality.
How crazy
lap.
would that be, or is that a safety issue?
It would be crazy. It's a safety issue.
That's probably a safety issue because all these guys think they're the best driver in the world, so they're going to go out and try to prove it.
7 cars taking a quality lap at the same time.
Yeah, that's a bad idea.
Hilarious, but a bad idea.
Potentially not hilarious.
Yeah, potentially not hilarious. Especially they start catching like the back markers of them.
Let's just try it at Abu Dhabi.
You know what? Let's just throw out the whole Rubak at Abu Dhabi.
Let's try everything.
Let's try everything. Yeah. No more track limits.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Yeah. And then explain to us this Red Bull illegal car function deal with the wing or whatever it was.
I don't remember exactly what the function was. Like people were calling it a dial. It's just like there was something that Red Bull had in their car that made it easier to, I think, change wing settings. That was kind of in the gray area of the rules, and it was determined to be illegal. It was also determined that Red Bull was never using it. At least they claim that they were never using it outside of Park Firm. They had it there just for ease of use and quickness when they were changing settings during practice or quality or practice rather and stuff like that. And when the FIA said no, you can't have this just because you can use it inside the race easily, they were like, okay, we'll get rid of it, and that was it. So. Sure. Yeah, it was an issue that was done and gone immediately. So that was
no harm, no foul, no slap on the wrist.
Yeah, no
slap on the wrist. Thank you, Red Bull, for paying our bills.
Yeah, I remember when the article first came out, people were saying that there was an unidentified F1 team that had like the secret.
Yeah, and everybody knew. Everybody was like, "Yeah, secret F1 team." Okay. Yeah. And then real quick, explain the whole Singapore deal where Max swore during a press conference and community service. What?
This is old news, but it's hilarious.
Well, we didn't. Well, new to us because we weren't here last week, right? So, but old news.
Sure. Yeah, new to the podcast.
Singapore.
New to the podcast for sure. Yeah. But everyone else has probably heard of this a little bit.
That's fine. We're gonna bring it up again.
Yeah, I'm gonna bring it up because it's hilarious and because you haven't heard of it yet.
Right.
So, I believe it was qualifying the post quali interviews. Max had dropped the F word in the press conference, and one of the interviewers had told him to please keep the language in check. And then he went on a little bit of a monologue about how cursing just happens. Like, everyone's going to hear it eventually. Like, kids are going to hear it eventually. You know, it's whatever, right? It's weird that we can't say our minds whenever we want and stuff. and then he went on that. FIA gave him a fine and gave him community service hours for doing those.
Wait, FIA gave him community service?
Yes. They fined him for swearing in that press conference and gave him community service hours. Now I'm thinking about, this was before qualifying. All right, just keep that in mind. This is before qualifying. Qualifying happens. He gets into the post-qualifying interview. Every single question that gets asked by Max, he answers with a single word or a single sentence, and that's it. He doesn't elaborate on anything.
Pulling the Marshawn Lynch.
Yeah, one of the questions asked is, are you going to answer any of these questions, or are you going to elaborate on these questions? He says, no. And he's like, I'll answer them after the interview if you want, outside of the room. He's like, oh, we can do this? He's like, sure. He's like,
ooh, yeah.
He's like, why aren't you talking, Max? He's like, I don't want to get fined.
Oh, that's hilarious.
That was it, right?
That's
and
hilarious.
We saw photos of him outside of the press conference, like in the paddock,
talking
with a bunch of interviewers around him, or a bunch of and had like
actually
Mike's,
interviewing.
Man. I think.
What's his community service? Did it say?
It did say. I can't remember exactly what it was.
How does FIA? How they?
They
got jurisdiction in the entire world then, or what?
No. It's just that. You know, they want it to be accessible. They want to make money from these interviews, and if they break some of their contracts because they're swearing and stuff, then they don't make money.
Fair enough.
And so they have to fine people for it. But
I wonder if community service for Max is just like, you cannot race in your esports race this weekend.
I think it's going to be a little more. Actually, I don't know. I have no idea what community service. I'm going to look that up.
Wild.
I didn't go into it deep.
I didn't
because
either, but I didn't know.
It's possible he won't do it. Like I think,
and then get fined again, and then they'll be like, "All right, well, we took more of your money, so I guess it's fine."
It's like whatever.
Or do they stand true to it and be like, "No, you have to do it"?
I mean, what are they gonna do?
Kick Max out of F1?
That'd be crazy. I just don't see that ever happening.
And he just stands by it. He's like, "No, I'm not gonna do it."
It sounds like most of the drivers side with Max. They think it's stupid that he got those community service hours.
Sure.
And like Lewis was sitting there, and he got asked a question about what he thinks about Max's like community service hours. He's like, "Oh, I don't think he should do them. I think he should just not do them." He's like, "That's what I would do." And he's like, "Oh, okay." Yeah,
that's what I would do. So
yeah. So that was good. Awesome. I think. And after the race, everything was fine. He was back to normal and stuff. But it was just from quality to the race, he was just radio. It was hilarious. It was the best.
Yeah, awesome.
So I just wanted to throw that out. That was a good time.
No, that's funny as heck. But with that, let's head right to our Mexico preview. And starting right off with the Mexican GP preview, I try to come up with funny names for Joe's little segments. I always fail, so I don't know. I called this one Joe's Gab Shack, which just doesn't make sense, but it's all right. So, Joe, why don't you just take it away with that?
Yeah, all right. And I always like starting this trying and butchering the name of the race. So it's the Formula One Gran Premio de la Ciudad de Mexico 2024.
Ooh, that is in the running for the longest of the year.
Yeah, definitely.
It's probably second longest though.
Yes, the Italian one was long.
Yeah.
I didn't throw an accent on it because it just seems wrong. All right, the first Grand Prix was in 1963. In 2016, the race in 2016, Bottas set the fastest ever speed trap in F1 history at 231 miles per hour. And our starting grid last year, we saw Charles, Carlos, and then Max. So,
wait, Charles, Carlos, and Max?
Yep, in that order. So Charles first, Carlos second, Max third, and then I believe.
Oh yeah, I see it.
This will be important, but Checo was in fifth, I believe, starting the race as well.
Yeah.
Okay, this is kind of a long one, so I'll get through this.
Buckle up.
Down the incredibly long straight off of the starting grid, we saw Max in third and Checo in fifth. We saw them get good starts and end up alongside both Ferraris by the end of the straight. Max was on the inside of the corner and he took it and he was able to quickly take first place. Checo was on the outside, however, and he cut into the Ferrari of Leclerc, getting onto his back tire on top of the Ferrari's fronts, destroying his own side pods and sending the Red Bull up in the air momentarily before crashing back down to earth, ending his home race on lap 1. Charles, unfortunately,
Turn one, ending his race on turn 1.
Yep. Charles, unfortunately, did not come out unscathed. He did suffer some front wing damage in the tussle. Cutting into lap 33, we found K-Mag's Haas completely obliterated against the sidewall after his back left wheel just failed. I watched the replays. It just fell off. Like his back wheel just like snapped off.
I'm watching it right now. Yeah, and it just sends him.
Yeah,
there's nothing he can do.
Snapped off. Like, just send him spinning into the wall. That's definitely not like the craziest kind of damage I've seen to a car, but it was like his back end was obliterated. It was destroyed. This does bring out.
This one's not his fault though.
Not his fault though. Yeah, it's Haas's fault.
Yeah.
This does bring out the red flag. On race restart, we see Max to Charles to Lewis, with Carlos and Danny filling the 4th and 5th spots behind. We saw a lot of grid movement at the restart, notably Lando, who restarted at 10th, falling to 15th after the first corner, and Russell making a quick overtake on both Piastri and Danny Ric for 5th. On lap 40, Lewis pushes ahead of Leclerc for the 2nd podium position. 8 laps later, Tsunoda, with a great comeback, fights Piastri for 7th place, making slight contact with Oscar during a corner. Lap 49, that contact is a little bit more severe, very reminiscent of Checo turning into Charles. Yuki does the same thing to Oscar, skips the bit where he flies into the air and instead spins off into the runoff. He falls down to 16th. Meanwhile, on the same lap, comeback kid Lando Norris makes an overtake for 8th place, 7 places ahead where he fell at the restart, taking the overtake on Albon and sliding in behind his papaya teammate. Lando catches up to Oscar and they swap position on lap 56. Teammate. Thank you. Lando continues his climb on lap 60 and makes a wheel-to-wheel overtake on his old teammate Danny Ric. And on 7 laps later, he finds the back end of Russell and makes another classic overtake to get into 5th place. By a 14-second margin, Verstappen takes victory at the 2023 Mexico Grand Prix. Lewis behind him taking the fastest lap point on the last lap. So our final was Verstappen to Hamilton to Leclerc, Sainz, Norris, Russell, Danny Ric, Piastri, Albon, and Ocon. Lando made up 12 places over the course of the race, starting 17th and finishing 5th. Albon also had a decent climb, starting 14th and finding 9th by the end of the race. And that was the 2023 Mexico Grand Prix.
Good work.
Thank you.
Just watching Lando's overtake right here of George.
Yeah.
I mean, he ran a pretty solid race.
Oh, yeah. I think for starting so low, yeah.
I think that we're not going to see Lewis Hamilton that high this week. No, I think something's going on with Mercedes. Now, I mean, I guess George raced himself a good race.
Yep.
Again, we keep giving him the credit for a tough race this weekend. So... I don't know. It's tough to say. I don't think Verstappen will get the dub here.
I don't have Merc in my podium.
Who?
I don't have Merc in my podium.
Okay.
I don't think they're going to be. I don't think they're going to be super low, or low in general. I would hope they're still top 10.
They're going to be in points. I think both cars will be in points.
Yeah. But yeah, probably not at the level. I mean, Lewis was the 2nd best driver last year, and that's just not happening this year right now. So,
but with how well Ferrari did last year, with how well Ferrari did last week,
yes,
I think they're an option for me to be in my podium.
Yeah.
So with that said, we'll do a points update next week. Let's just say that you're in last.
Because I am.
No offense. But
none taken,
there's a good chance that you might still be there. And
I appreciate you tiptoeing around it.
Hey, I'm just, there's still, 6 races left? 7?
5, I think.
5?
Yeah.
Oh, my gosh.
So.
We're almost done. I thought it was 6, but whatever.
1,
Either
2,
way.
3, 4, 5. 5 races left.
5 races, including Mexico City.
Yes.
So, with that, you might as well go first, man. No bonus point this week.
Why do I have to go first if I'm last?
This week. Is that not how we've been doing it? Oh, all right. I'll go first.
Oh, we've got to text the guys too.
I know.
That's fine.
I'm all out of sorts.
Changing. Nothing's going to change my podium.
I'll get Tyler and Cole's picks this week. Again, no bonus point. So my podium.
No bonus point. Okay.
No bonus point. Did we not? Did we decide a bonus point? The only thing we could come up with was Kick Sauer's finishing highest position.
Yeah. Maybe no bonus point.
No bonus point. Okay, no bonus point. But if you want to guess Kick Sauer's highest position, have fun. I guess something to watch. But I guess for me, it's going to be, I think I'm just going to cover them all, I guess. Leclerc in no particular order, of course, like we've done all year. But Leclerc, Lando, and Max. What?
Ditto.
We better put on our tinfoil hats.
I wrote that.
He
I wrote
does
that
have
at
Max,
home.
Lando, Charles. So I mean,
I wrote that at home.
So this is a fun way to end the show.
Yeah, this is
That was pretty boring.
anticlimactic. I guess in true Cole fashion, should I change something and just put Bottas?
No, because we know that Cole's picks are gonna be Checo, Colapinto, and like Hulk for this race. That's probably what we should just put down.
Oh man. Ooh, I mean. Okay, really quick. I'm not going to change my podium. I just do want to talk about Checo. This is his home race. Notoriously not lucky here.
I'd like to see him do well.
I mean,
yeah, unless you hate the guy.
I don't hate the guy. I just think it's a little, ironic that, or not ironic, but a little funny, kind of, that it's his home race and he just cannot seem to get. Do you remember?
That's how bad. That's why he crashed last year.
Last year he crashed.
He wanted to get out in front.
He wanted it so bad.
Yeah. Right away.
He wanted it really bad, and that's been in 2023. I don't know if I mentioned this or not. I don't think I did. In 2023, 2022 rather, he got third place, and I remember the podium was Max, Lewis, and Checo, and people were booing Lewis when he got on the mic, like hardcore booing Lewis, to the point where
what year was this?
Team
what year was this?
2022.
Well,
yeah,
he was killing it. He was the Max of the era.
Checo is doing better than he's doing this year. That's for sure.
Yeah. Well, so you're changing it. So you're going to take Max. So you're going to take Max off the podium and put Checo up there.
No.
So Checo, Lando, Charles.
No.
In that order.
No.
Okay.
No.
So we got the same podium. It is what it is. Yeah. But thanks for joining me this week, Joe.
Yeah. Thanks for having me.
I know we're a day early than we normally record this puppy, but
that's okay.
Thanks for being flexible.
I'm ready to talk F1 literally anytime.
Oh, okay. So we got another show coming tomorrow. No, but I guess what do we got after Mexico City?
After Mexico, we got Mexico, we got Brazil, we got Las Vegas, we have Qatar, and then we have Abu Dhabi. And those were off the dome.
I love that lineup.
Those are off the dome.
Good work.
Love the lineup. Yeah, Mexico is a great track.
Brazil's tough.
Brazil's like a roller coaster of a track. Yeah. It's very up and down. Las
Vegas is still kind of weird. It's new.
Vegas, I found out I do like the racing at Vegas. I hate the fanfare and the, everything else around the weekend is
I hate that
annoying.
We have a race in our country that we got to watch at midnight.
Yeah, it's a bit rough.
Hey,
it's a bit rough. Yeah.
Whatever. It is what it is.
Qatar, this is second year for Qatar, right? And Qatar last year was rough on the drivers. It was fun to watch, but it was rough on the drivers.
Right?
It was incredibly hot. I think this was the one.
That's the one where the tires are falling apart.
This is the one, and the drivers are falling apart too. I think Logan had to quit, and I think I think it was Pierre, like he threw up in his helmet like mid race.
Awesome.
Yeah. So good stuff. And then Abu Dhabi, which is classic. Yeah. 5 more races
love Abu
though,
Dhabi,
and then that's it. 5 more races.
I know.
We're gonna take us into December. So
we're gonna have to come up with a couple like end of season shows.
Oh, I mean, yeah.
Talk about the single seat that's left. No, I'm just kidding. For an hour.
That seat will never be filled.
I wonder if I go back and see how many hours we spent on seats talking about driver seats this year, it would be staggering.
It'd be disturbing. We're not going to be talking about it nearly as much next year.
Probably at all.
Yeah, there will.
We'll have a lot of rookies to talk about.
Yeah, a lot of rookie talk.
But anyway, we can keep going. But anyway, with that, that kind of wraps up Fast Laps, our United States GP recap, the Mexico City preview. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe wherever you listen to the Banter, whether that's YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts. And we got another show next week, I think.
It's 3 in a row.
Boom, boom, boom. Yeah.
Boom, boom, boom.
And we'll see you next week for Fast Laps.
Don't forget to follow, like, and subscribe. Tune in next time for more Banter with the boys.